Thank you, Dana Farrugia. Thank you. And now to talk to us about the next phase of digital asset exchange, Enzo Villani, Head of International Strategy at OKEx.
Everybody. Wow. How's everyone doing? Good. So I'm going to talk about content. I have a deck that I've done that's based on what I believe is the next phase of the crypto exchange markets. Let me start off by making sure that I can use this thing. All right, so 2 minutes about me. So I spent about 20 years doing actually financial services, fintech. I spent about 7 years at NASDAQ. I was the MD of strategy there. And I was the MD of strategy during a time when the stock exchanges were becoming deregulated and they were going global. And I see a lot of parallels between what's going on now in the crypto markets and what was happening then. So after I left NASDAQ, I also focused on the corporate communications and shareholder management business, and because we had to create a global enterprise to service multinational corporations in dealing with their shareholders in multiple types of jurisdictions with different laws and different regulators. Sounds very similar to what we're trying to deal with right now. So we see that opportunity, and a lot of my background is coming to the focus of what I think we should be doing going forward, and we're starting to see these activities happen already. So let me tell you about OKEx. I'll just give you like a little bit of background. You guys probably know them really well. It's like the #3 stock exchange in the world, or I'm sorry, actually crypto exchange in the world. And we are, 10 million users plus. We have customers in 120 different countries, and we are one of the top futures markets and spot trading markets on the planet. We have a great team, great founders, and we have expanded into multiple jurisdictions. As you can see from the slide, we have to function in a local level, but we are headquartered in Malta because Malta sets a great stage for digital asset jurisdiction and compliance. And as countries like France and Germany use the Malta principal jurisdiction concept of digital assets, we know that it'll be easier for us as we enter Europe. So the products are 3 major products: C2C trading, right, spot trading, and of course actually futures markets. And futures markets will continue to grow. We will start to create new products and new ideas to help customers and help investors, not only on the retail side, but the more hedge fund type of investors to create hedge products going forward. So quickly, everybody kind of survived the crypto winter, right? We should all be happy about that. And blockchain adoption is not going away. I don't care what anyone says, it's not a fad. That's silly. And there are a couple of key numbers that I want you to know. 53%, 86%, and 83%. 53% of corporate executives surveyed by Deloitte said that they are looking at blockchain as a top 5 issue for 2019. That's this year. 86% of those people expect blockchain to achieve mainstream adoption. That's a huge number. These are corporate enterprise CEOs. These are not crypto people. And then the third bullet point is that 83% of those corporate enterprises believe that they have a blockchain type of solution that they can apply to their business. So let's just focus on exchanges. Since I work in an exchange, I'm the head of the international strategy, let's focus on the use case. What have the old exchanges done right? If you don't know this, the old exchanges created were actually formed as memberships. There were membership organizations that were decentralized. Sounds very similar to what we're doing now. They had a board of governors. They had rules. You could not just trade certain ways, right? And it helped the marketplace grow and foster more and more capital entering that marketplace. And the equity markets have been around for 100 years or more, and we're just starting. The other thing that they do well is they understood that by working together as an industry, we could get more assets into equities, into options, into futures. But if we compete too aggressively at first, we will mess up that matrix. So what don't they know how to do? They're really bad at global integration. And you know what we're really good at? Global integration. We have literally built the most efficient back office clearing and settlement system known to man. Bitcoin, any blockchain, it's all the same. That's what we do really well. It takes 3 days for someone to get a trade cleared if it's international. A retail investor who wants to invest in Facebook in Vietnam, it costs them 20% sales commissions. It's not an efficient back-end market. So that's how we can help to fix that marketplace. So the regulators don't understand. Everyone always says this, right? The regulators in Malta have done a lot of hard work to help to set that stage and try to understand us and try to understand really what's going on. Like, what are we talking about here? I go back to the same thing. It's all about the tech. It's all about blockchain. And it is a technology that can be used for multiple types of assets and use cases. That's what they're not getting. So we can't say, oh, it's Bitcoin, the knee-jerk kind of reaction. No, it's not just Bitcoin. It's a whole ecosystem that has changed that will change the way finance is done from now and going forward. So we see it as 4 major areas. And with those 4 major, and I'm not going to go through like the normal, like you guys all know this, right? But the fact is that we have to start looking at it from blockchain as a technology and how it gets applied to different things: healthcare, voting, the kind of energy crisis, the impact investor, and of course, exchanges. So what are we doing? So the focus for OKEx is that we want to list the best companies on the planet that are doing the best projects, no matter what those projects are. We want to believe in you. We want to help you build the ecosystem that will allow you to receive more capital, more clients, more token buyers, and get institutional money and more retail investors into our ecosystem. The other thing that we want to do is become the leader in the futures market, which we are starting to get there. And we're doing it in a fair trading, fair price, fair approach way. We have to create a fair market. You don't create a fair market, we will lose this game. And we have to become a trusted exchange. And we are that trusted exchange. We are very, very, very focused on being the trusted exchange for the world. And we will not waver from that. And any challenges that happen as an ecosystem, we will work with others to fix that. We don't need to just do it ourselves. We want everyone to be on board. We can compete on trades, on products, on financial products, on listings, but the industry needs to kind of fix itself. Being a former NASDAQ person, I was always meeting with the NYSE and the Singapore Stock Exchange and the Hong Kong. We even tried to buy the actual London Stock Exchange. All of those activities are going to start coming down the pike. So what's the next phase for actually crypto exchanges? We can do things beyond borders that the traditional exchanges cannot do. We can clear and settle much faster, 20 minutes or less. We have the better infrastructure. What are we waiting for, right? So the only thing that we're doing wrong is that we're kind of competing over the 1% of current crypto users. We need to get mainstream adoption, because without mainstream adoption, we will lose the battle, because once the other exchanges start to think about this, they're going to come in and crush us. So it's important for us as a new industry, a burgeoning industry with huge growth, hockey stick growth, to understand what the playing field is like and what can we do to make that playing field fair as possible and as smart as possible. So here's our pitch. A self-regulated organization, something like the Paris Accord. We start off slowly, we go to other exchanges, we're having conversations with exchanges, market makers, all the market participants. Let's come up with a couple of different ways to set some global rules, because you have to think global, but act local. So you're gonna act local by jurisdiction. So you're gonna have multiple companies potentially, and multiple types of products may not be able to be traded in some jurisdictions, but they could be traded elsewhere. Secondly, with the credit crisis and the authority figures who were supposed to be being the watchdog on everybody's money, when that system failed, what happened to those people? Nothing. So if the watchdogs can't watch, and when something breaks, then nothing happens to them, then why do we need them? Why not build the compliance into the tech? Smart compliance via technology. We can build it into the smart contract. Why would we continue to, they can still have a look because they're regulators, but why not give them the software as an SRO, as a global SRO, and say, here's our trade reporting. Here's our information. Here's our listing qualifications. It's good for business, and it's good for us, and it's good for the investor. So the goal is to try to create a decentralized-based trading economy. A decentralized-based trading economy based on rules that are preset by a group of exchanges and market participants, where the rules are then written in stone in the smart contract. That's the idea. And we've kicked off this concept this morning. This is the reason why I joined, because I think the next evolution of exchanges in the crypto markets has to go down this road. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take a long time. But if we sit on our laurels and think that the current infrastructure of the way we do things now is going to work for a pension fund, there's 16 trillion. The CalPERS pension fund. CalPERS is the California State University Teachers Association. They have like 160 billion under management. They can't touch this stuff until they know that they can get best execution and that the exchanges are working fairly. That's the bottom line. And we need to advance, because as I said, I was a NASDAQ strategy guy. In the back of my mind, I'm like, the bigger exchanges are basically waiting for us to make this a market, and then they're going to come in and they're going to pounce. And they're going to either buy the companies or they're going to take them over, because they're tied with the actual regulators in their jurisdictions. They're national exchanges. They have the ear of the actual governing body. So if we want to lose on this, we will sit on our laurels, fight over the 1% of crypto traders, and leave it at that. So next steps. The concept is to form a global SRO. We know we can't form a very tight organization at first, because we're trying to get our competitors to work with us. But there's other market participants like market makers. There's other market participants like hedge funds, and retail investors could demand a better use case. Okay? We want to identify classes of digital assets. You know who started doing this yesterday? So 2 days ago, Coinbase came out and said, we're going to work with Bittrex and somebody else, and we're going to come up with what's not a security. We're going to identify the security class of digital assets. Great. Check that box off. Maybe we'll pull that into our global SRO. Now, somebody has to define the next one. We create some type of listings and trading standards. They can be as deep or not as you want. And then we do some data and basic kind of reporting. And then the last idea comes from an idea that we've been doing forever at NASDAQ. So NASDAQ won the contract to run what's called the Consolidated Tape. All of the exchanges in the United States and the ATSs report to a Consolidated Tape. NASDAQ just happened to win the contract, but the contract was given by FINRA, which is a self-regulated organization in which all of the exchanges and the market makers are members. We can do this. And if they're doing it in the States and they're doing it in Europe with MiFID II, why are we not doing it? So last but not least, we just want to invite the market participants. If you're traders, brokers, OTC guys, if you're exchanges, any size, if you're a company that's trading on an exchange and it's kind of like not happy with the way things are going, come and talk to us. Come by the booth. We probably have the biggest booth here. I think Andy spent a lot of money on the booth, and it looks great. But we really would appreciate any feedback from you. Thank you very much, and have a great day.